Hey everybody, I am very happy that you guys have come to see me again. I know I've been going live a lot recently, I know, and I want to keep going live. I want to make sure that you know that I'm still here. I know many of us are struggling, getting laid off. Many of us have questions or concerns. People are worried about what's happening. They're seeing what the governor of their state is doing, what the president is doing, or in certain cases not doing, whichever the case may be. So I thought instead of me doing what I usually do, which, or what I've been doing recently, which is kind of sitting here and talking at you much more, and I get that, I kind of want to spend a bit more time kind of listening to what you have to say and answering some of your questions, some of your concerns, and doing it back and forth. Usually, you'd be able to call in, right? This would be the Sharpe way time, the 8 to 10 on Monday night is Sharpe way. So you'd be able to call in. But of course, my studio was shut down because of the coronavirus. So no studio for me. Instead, I'm here and we're doing it this way instead, which is okay. It is what it is. I'm happy that it is what it is. We'll deal with it this way. There are a couple things that I want us to bring up as a general rule. But again, if there's something you want to talk about, I'm happy to have those conversations. The first one is what you're hearing from many people is the idea of volunteering isn't good enough. This is a common thing. Cuomo, my governor, recently just said that. He said, volunteering isn't good enough. That's what he said. We can't just have ad hoc volunteerism, right? That's not going to work. That's not the way things, work. And my argument to him is that is exactly how things work best. He literally said something like, well, we can't just hope that we get, 3 offers for masks if we need more than that. Or, what if we need the other thing? We have to be able to order them. That's what he literally said. And that's a common idea and a common concept. I would ask, is there any time in history that when the market or the people or the consumers required something, when they really required something, that the market didn't respond? That it was like, nope, we're not going to give it. With the exception of when government and or church, back when the church was more in charge, when government or church, they often intertwined, said don't do it, then you couldn't. But otherwise, when did it happen? Never. People always decide what's happening. I mean, people always who decide what's happening. The market always responds. Companies and businesses always respond. The idea that ad hoc isn't the right answer, it's exactly the opposite. That is exactly the answer. That's how you don't get empty shelves. That's how you don't get those things. That's really what it's about. But there's something else. He literally said, if you remember, he goes, I know this is an infringement or this is an order from the government. And then he said, but so what? It's an emergency. I didn't know that made it okay. So you know what? It's emergency. I get to take your stuff. So I can now come into your house, steal your stuff, and go, it's an emergency. Stop, it's an emergency. I think that's something that we're dealing with right now. Let me see if I can grab some of these. Thank you for going live. Thank you. Yes. An economic and authoritarian crisis. Yes, they are one in the same, my friend Brad. You are totally correct. Once you see that this is an economic crisis, that's when the authoritarians jump in, right? That's when they say, see, even though I was already ruining the economy failed, and the reason is I wasn't ruining it well enough. If I could just ruin it 100%, then it would be perfect. That's their logic. Their logic is government control has been failing. What do we require? More government control. Because centralized control has worked exactly right. Never. Never. It has never made things better. It always makes things worse. In fact, when you look at when we have in business, and you guys know I'm a business guy, in business, whenever entrepreneurs say, Larry, my leaders, they aren't doing as well, or my team isn't doing as well as it could, I never say, you know what your problem is? Your fist isn't iron enough. You know what? Iron fist, yell at them, force them to enforce your will, and then your executive team will be amazing. I never say that because that's never true. I actually say the opposite. I say, you know what? If you think your company's in trouble and your executives aren't doing exactly what you think is right, here's what. How about give them more freedom? Allow them to do more, give them a little bit more rope, a little bit more. What will happen? Those who are truly innovative will begin to do good and bad things and get stronger and think differently. Those who are in the middle will often decide, where should I go, where shouldn't I go? The bad ones will collapse because the bad ones always use the system as an excuse to not do anything. They use the system as an excuse to not act. Well, you didn't tell me, it was in the books, I couldn't do it, I didn't know, I was waiting. The people in the middle will see, what will you do? Which way will you go? If you follow those people who are trying to do the right thing, they're also following you. You can actually get some success out of giving more freedom. All right, sounds crazy, but it works in business, and it actually works in the real world too. All right, what is your opinion on Trump's recent proposal to possibly opening the economy next week? I love the idea of opening the economy. I think that's a wonderful idea. I know people get mad at me and say, Larry, that's terrible. More people are going to die. I know I hear that. But here's the way you open it. You don't just go, all right, guys, good luck. That would be irresponsible. Absolutely. I hope he doesn't do that. That would be irresponsible. The responsible way of doing it would be, here are the guidelines, the things that we've learned over these past weeks about this virus. Here's what we've learned from South Korea, which, by the way, didn't have a mandatory shutdown and has opened up their economy. Here's what we've learned from China, whatever we can believe from China. I believe South Korea far more than I believe China, but whatever. Here's what we've learned. Here are the guidelines. All right, guys, let's start opening up and finding answers that will go within these guidelines. Right now, if we want to have people out there inspecting to see if they're right or wrong, great. Have them inspect to see if they fit what they believe will be going within the guidelines of the safety guidelines. If they are, they get a safety stamp. If not, they don't get a safety stamp. And then consumers decide where they want to go. Hopefully consumers will be smart and they'll go in the right spot. Right? I've heard many people get upset at me saying, well, Larry, libertarians, you guys have to do what the government says now because it's crisis. Who says the government's right? Who says the government's right? Not just that, how are we going to find the ways to survive without people figuring out the ways to survive? Not just that, what if we don't? What if we choose not to? What if the government says, get off the streets by 8 and we don't? And we stay out? What are you going to do? Arrest us? Put us in jail with more corona people? Fine us? Have people here aren't making any money anymore? If I was a restaurant right now, if I owned a restaurant, if I was a restaurant, I wouldn't have any feelings, I'd be a building. But if I owned a restaurant, if I was a restaurateur right now, and I owned a restaurant in any city, I would stay open. I stay open. Stay open, take the cash, start figuring out how to make things safe, and try to have the safest place they could possibly have, and I'd stay open. The cops are going to come by, and are they going to arrest me? Maybe, I hope not. Odds are they're going to give me a ticket. I don't care, I'm going out of business anyway. We're going to fine you $1,000. Make it 10,000. Make it $1 billion. Fine me $1 billion. I don't care. In 3 months, I'm bankrupt, so it's irrelevant. So I would just stay open anyway. But what would I learn over that time? How to run a safe business. So I'm a big fan of opening up the economy as soon as possible, but not blindly. Opening it up with real guidelines that everyone can see and everyone knows and says, you know what, I'm not going to that business, or I am going to that business. It will teach us how to function in the future. It is a very good idea. Larry, when will you have Phil Grania show? I don't know. I saw him in, was it California? I think I saw Phil in California maybe a month ago, I'm going to guess, in that area. So I saw him. Larry, do you support cocaine legalization? Look, the reality of it is all drugs over time should be legal. If it was my perfect world, it'd be tomorrow. The country is nowhere near ready for that, my friend. DMC fanboy. The country's just nowhere ready for that. It's legally, physically impossible. New York State can't even figure out how to legalize cannabis. And you're asking for cocaine. It's a bridge too far for the vast majority of Americans. The reality of it is, if some of the bigger, stronger drugs were actually more legal and were safer, there'd be less overdoses and less people taking heroin, less people taking all these things. My answer has always been, do I think it should? Of course. Am I advocating for it? No, not really. It's like advocating for a leprechaun to ride a unicorn. It ain't going to happen. Not now, at least. So I'd rather advocate right now for total decriminalization or as I say, regulate like onions, right? Cannabis. Once we do that as a first step, you will find the public will be like, oh, the world's not ending. It's better. We can do it. In fact, recently The Simpsons had an episode where Marge Simpson was selling cannabis, right? This is where we have to go, and I think we are going there with cannabis. That will also change the field. It'll change what it looks like, what drugs looks like, and there may actually be less heroin and less overdoses just with the legalization of cannabis, in which case we can move to legalizing other drugs and or decriminalizing them, depending upon how that works. I hope I answered your question. Nate, thanks for being here. I am here. Yes. What do you think of Cuomo micromanaging getting medical supplies to hospitals? This is a horrible idea. The micromanaging doesn't work. He's saying that the market can't do it. I would ask the question that I believe was in the book by Frederick Bastiat, The Law. When he went to Paris, I think it was someone asked him, well, how in the world can you deliver bread to all the people of Paris? How can they eat? Where is your minister of bread, a minister of food? And he was like, well, there isn't one. Yeah, because somehow people figure out how to get bread to eat. That's what happens. So if you just didn't have Cuomo micromanaging, guess what? People would figure out how to get supplies where they have to go. That's how it works all the time. The examples of that are literally everywhere. Everywhere. All the time. So how about instead, people who require supplies, if the government wants to help, I'm actually not against the government helping. I'm not. I know libertarians get mad when I say that, but I'm not against them helping. But helping doesn't mean controlling. Helping means accepting that culturally, many people believe that the government should be a centralized hub. And I'm actually okay with that concept. See, that's what our culture says. People believe it and feel it, right? Like, I don't mind 911 existing. It's a great centralized hub. We have a problem, we call 911. So why don't we, instead of having him micromanage, have instead everyone who needs it submit it and post it on a government website, right? So now the government becomes the centralized hub that people all culturally have accepted that, oh, the government should be a centralized hub. I don't have a problem with that. So to answer your question, Robert, I hate the fact that he's micromanaging, but I don't mind if you want to make government a centralized hub. Culturally, it has been who we've been for a long time. A lot of people prefer that. I don't have a problem with being centralized hub. All right. Would you be on Real Talk with @Zuby? Sure, @Zuby. Twitter me. Tweet me. Twitter me? Wow. I'm old. Tweet me. Zuby. I'm happy to be on your show. I try to go on tons of shows whenever I possibly can. All right. Yes, let's see if I can keep going through this. Put them to Facebook of the companies. Oh, yes. Okay. Do you agree with COVID checks giving some of our tax money back to us we deserve? Do I agree with it? No. Will I take it? Yes. Should you take it? Yes. Absolutely. If you get a check, don't listen to people going, yeah, you hate Trump, so don't take a check. Or you hate socialism, don't take the check. Take the check. We need it. Survive. Right? This is the world we're in. Survive. Please do that. So take the check. Do I agree with it? No. I've told you what the actual answer is. And people are starting to get it as they watch right now the stimulus package that's right now not getting through Congress. The reason why I was so against the stimulus package, or so against checks, or so against extending unemployment, or any of those things, they're all bad ideas. And the reason is it will allow government to pick winners and losers, to reward cronies, to make sure some people collapse and some don't. Right? You extend unemployment benefits. What if you're a consultant? You're not an employee. Well, you're screwed. What if you decide to give everyone who lost their job a check? What if you're a gig employee? You're not an actual employee. Well, you're screwed. Doesn't work. My plan has been the same since this began, and it hasn't changed. It is the fairest and the best of all of them. It isn't great because there is no great answer. No matter what the answer happens to be debt. I hate that that's true, but sadly it is. The actual idea, the best idea is simply doing this. Every financial institution in the United States, credit card, bank, finance company, student loans, car finance, doesn't matter. If you are a financial institution, insurance companies, you have financial institutions also. If you're a financial institution, you may not enforce any payments for 6 months, and credit agencies may not report on them for 6 months. Period. That's the entire package. That's the entire package. If you don't have debt, you're not really affected by this that badly, are you? You are, but not badly. If you do have debt, you're devastated. So the more debt you have, you're more devastated, the more relief you get by default. But not just that. If I give someone $1,000, $2,000, whatever the amount is, they're going to pay off a debt, give the bank back the money, whatever it is, and they're screwed again. They still lost their job. Their company still shut down. They're still finished. But if I just said, don't pay your bills for 6 months. That's it. Don't pay your bills for 6 months. You get laid off? Terrible. But the world's not ending. Terrible. But the world's not ending. I don't have to go bankrupt now. Not just that, I'm an owner. I own a business or whatever. I don't have to pay my mortgage, my insurance, none of these things. I don't have to lay you off, do I? I don't have to pay those bills. I don't have to lay you off. In fact, you do that in combination with saying all minimum wage laws are cut at least in half or eliminated for 6 months, which means now I can keep you on board for half your salary. You might go, half my salary? You're not paying any bills. Half your salary's fine. You're not paying any bills. Neither am I. So I can keep you for half your salary because I'm not paying any bills either. And we together can figure out how to move forward in these next 6 months to retool our businesses, to retool our lives, to change what we're doing so we can survive 6 months from now. But Larry, what about the financial institutions? Write them a check. You're going to anyway. And that's my point. No bureaucracy, no having to vote on this, about that. We're going to bail out the banks anyway. We always do. We're going to anyway. The Fed is going to give money away no matter what we do. We're going to raise our debt from 23 trillion, whatever it's going to be, 27 trillion, whatever it's going to be when this is over. That's going to happen. I know some of you libertarians, your brains are ready to explode. I'm just being realistic. That's going to happen. That simple plan, 6 months, no financial institutions, then write the big banks a check from the Fed. You're going to anyway. Just do it. Make money free. You're going to do it anyway. Just do it. It's the simplest way, doesn't pick winners and losers, and allows us to retool. And those who are very wealthy will pay their debts anyway because they don't care. They don't want to have any interest. They'll just pay anyway. Because they're wealthy. They'll pay anyway. But those who aren't wealthy will get a chance to retool, fix, change, shift. That is our best answer. Oh, just freezing mortgages. What if you're a renter? What if you're a renter? Just freezing mortgages? You're still screwed. End the bills for 6 months, retool. That is the answer. So I know I went long on your question. I apologize. But take the money, please. If it comes, take it, spend it, save it, whatever's your thing, buy cryptocurrency. Whatever the case may be, but it's still a bad idea. But it's the one we have. Don't be silly. Of course, take it. So, why is there no concern from these people for the elderly and people with weak immune systems when it comes to influenza? I'm not sure that's true, Brad. I think there is, but there is concern. I hear all the time, right? I hear about the flu and elderly, and I do hear it. My mother, when she was on chemotherapy because she died of cancer, she used to have a mask all the time when she went out. I washed my hands. There was no tomorrow when I was around her. I cared tremendously because the flu might have killed her. She died anyway of cancer years ago, but I think they do. The issue here is, and this is what's weird, right? When we talk about stats, and you'll hear me often talk about this, I don't focus on the stats of, well, what about this? What about that? And the issue is, do you remember, some of you may remember the movie, the Batman movie, The Dark Knight. And in that movie, the Joker says something that is amazing, right? The Joker, for the others who don't know, was the bad guy in the Batman movie, right? So he's teasing and joking to one of the guys who's about to become a bad guy, an ex-DA who now is going to be about to become a bad guy. And he says something like, I'm gonna paraphrase, I could be off. He goes, tell people that a bunch of soldiers, get killed, get blown up, everyone's fine. But one little guy might get killed. A mayor or a governor might get killed. And everyone loses their mind. Why? It's not part of the plan. And that concept is true with the flu, right? We expect the flu to kill X thousands. We expect cars to kill Y thousands. We expect that. That's part of the plan. This isn't. That's why it's scary. Corona isn't part of the plan. Now, we don't know how many people Corona will kill. It will kill many, there's no doubt. And for those of you losing people, I feel horrible for you. Losing a loved one is terrible. I've lost many, and I know it's terrible. And those of you who lost loved ones, of course it's horrible. It doesn't matter if they're elderly or not. It's still your mother, father, grandma, grandpa. It still sucks, no matter what. All I'm saying is whatever that number is, let's say it equals the flu at the end of the year, whatever that number is, it's still going to hurt more because it wasn't expected. It wasn't what was supposed to happen. It's scary because it wasn't part of the plan. There's an emotional aspect to Corona that just isn't the flu, just isn't cars. It isn't that. And we as humans have to accept that humans are emotional. We are emotional and logical, never only one or the other, always both. But that's why I think the issue with the flu doesn't always work. Hope that answers your question, Brad. All right. There would be more masks available right now if stores had been allowed to raise their prices when demand went up and the hospitals could purchase them. I completely agree, Justin. Justin says that, right? The idea of, they create a bottom and say there'll be no price gouging at all. And then the store's empty. Why are stores empty? What were you thinking? You literally told the stores to empty. That's what you did. Create some price gouging that changes. Of course it does. But more important than that one, Justin, this goes back to the centralized control, right? I don't want the centralized control to happen at all. When I first talked about this, the first thing I said was, if I was governor, the first thing I would have said was, hey, this is a crisis that wasn't part of the plan, as I mentioned. Since it's not part of the plan, we're not ready for it. So, local communities, it's your turn. Jump in. Let's do this. Local communities, where are you? Where are you, VFW? Where are you, Knights of Columbus? Where are you, Boy Scouts? Where are you, local churches? Where are you guys? Where are you, Veterans of Foreign Wars? Where are you, Rotary Club? Where are you guys? I need you now. Can we put down some factories in your basements and start making some masks? Can we do that? And you know what? You can sell them cheap. Fine, sell them. In fact, we're going to get rid of sales tax for you. Sell them cheap so you can make some money. It'll be cheaper than a store. You'll raise some cash too, and we can buy masks. Done deal. I know what they always say. But Larry, they might have been bad masks. The ones coming from China might be bad too. But guess what we do? We'd know right away and change it because it's local. So I would say that that's totally correct. And you know what will probably happen? If a VFW made 500 masks, they probably wouldn't sell them to the hospital. They'd probably go to the hospital and give them away. That's what they usually do. They would probably give them away. A local church would probably give them away. They could sell them if they wanted to raise some money, but they'd probably give them away. And if you'd given people that mission, they might not show up and done it. But something more important that goes to this whole piece. What if they would have said, hey, local churches, local VFW, local American Legion, if you want to create a basement factory with a safe place for the elderly, people who can't afford their elderly loved one to go to a facility, but they're a youth in the home, and you want to put them there with medical personnel that are there, and have them help, give them mission, have someone making masks or whatever the case may be. That's their payment to be there. Why not? Or the reverse. You've got young people who have to go off and work and support the people who are at home. Don't go home and sleep at home. Stay in the church. Stay in the VFW. Right? And when you get back from your work, when you're making your money, come back, make some masks, make some hand sanitizer. Get rid of distilling rules in New York State, your state. Make some hand sanitizers. Sell it out, and don't go home to infect your elderly or immunocompromised person. Stay here at church, sleep on a cot, do some work. You can stay here for a couple of weeks. You can basically allow them to be quarantined while you stay here, or the reverse. Nothing. So yes, Justin, you're completely correct. All of that would work. Christopher says, how much do you think Emperor Cuomo's getting off on his power trip? Oh my God, is he so happy and excited. Whenever His Majesty King Andrew II can go, yeah, it's bad, so what? Get over it. I'm tough guy. He loves that. That is his thing. He is so happy he's on TV. All he's thinking right now is dun, 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 dun. Yep. All he's thinking is President Cuomo in 2024. That's all he's thinking right now. Guaranteed. That's all he's thinking. So I hope that answers your question. Yes. What are your thoughts on ranked choice voting? I like it. It's good. Let's see. Watching him say thank you. The British used emergency as an excuse too. Don't they always? Don't they always? Everyone does. That's how they do it. All right. John says, in your opinion, which LP candidate for president you think can impact in New York? This is a tough one, right? We have a problem. For those of you who are LP personnel, worry about New York State. I'm very happy that now we don't have to make the 160,000 votes in New York State anymore. We're now down to only having to get 50,000 in 2022. So we will retain ballot access for a party in the next couple of years. That makes me feel a little bit safer. I was worried, like which one could get us the 160,000 votes in New York State. Now I'm not as concerned. So I don't really have a deep opinion right now. And the reason why is it's hard for me to tell how effective they're going to be because they're not out campaigning. Some of you may have noticed I've been much more open to having presidential candidates on my media recently. I just started having a bunch. I've got a couple more coming. And the reason is, in the past, I was like, go do your thing, guys, gals, go. You've got, raise your own money, go and do things. Now they can't because of coronavirus. They literally, I'm sure it's hurting fundraising. There's no more events. Most of them don't have great social media. So I'm happy to begin to share my social media a bit more. So to your point, John, I don't know yet. I'm trying to get more of them out there. I've been giving my social media up a bit more to them. I'm trying to be more generous because I have a bit more social media than most of them do. So I'm trying to put it out there. I don't know yet. The reality is I want someone who can get people who believe that Bernie was their guy or gal and Democrat was their guy, and the Democrats screwed them. So I want that. That's one group. Second group I want is those Republicans who think coronavirus has sunk the Trump train and they want to be Republican. They don't want Biden, but they think Trump is finished. And the other one is the Democrats who think that this coronavirus has destroyed Biden and don't want Trump, but think Biden's finished. Now, both of those are smaller. Most Republicans believe in Trump. Most Democrats believe in Biden. But I'll take that sliver that think that they're gone. And the last is to motivate the base of people who either haven't figured it out, don't care, angry in general, which includes libertarians. So there's 4 different people I'm looking for. Whichever one I think can get the most of them is the one I want. As a general rule, I look at this as money and team. Generally speaking, money and team. But now I have to look more at social media presence also. And that was kind of a long-winded answer. Most of my answers are long-winded. I hope that answers your question, John. All right. Max Justice says there should be no asterisk on property rights. There is, though, as long as it doesn't affect someone else's property, right? So there is a small asterisk. We don't want to affect somebody else's property, right? So small issue. So, Robert, I bet all the medical equipment from those closed hospitals were scrapped instead of stored. Probably was. Is Kokesh's localization an idea you agree with? Josh, yes, I actually had Adam Kokesh on my show last week. I think it was last week. Yeah, last week. And yes, I will often say decentralization. I don't always say localization. Depends on how I'm talking, either one. But I think they go right in line, right? Adam's idea is to be as local as possible. So I think we agree with that. Adam wants to basically take the federal government through an organized bankruptcy. I'm not sure I'm on board with that one. I'm not sure with, but I get where he's going with it. That's where he wants to go. That part I'm not sure I'm with, but I'm definitely with the idea of localization. Absolutely. So, is freedom or liberty more important than safety? I don't think that's a real question. Because when they give us more safety, right, Randy? We lose liberty, but are we actually any more safe? Not really. So I'm not sure either of those is true. I would argue that if we have more freedom and liberty, in the long run, we will have more safety. I just feel that's true. I could be wrong, but I don't see any evidence of me being wrong with that. I think every time you have think about it. The most control any place you can possibly have by the government is prison. right? Prison is the most control government can have, right? Most control. Literally walls, guards, guns, cells. Prison's violent. Prison's violent. That's literally the safest the government can possibly make you. And it's violent. The Amish, very little government. Not so violent. So I kind of think that that's not actually true. I think people say that. It's not accurate. All right. So in times of crisis, what do we really have? Each other. Tim. So nice, Tim. Yes, it's exactly true. In times of crisis, we do require each other more than ever. Joe says, please run for POTUS or VP, Larry. There's a reason why I don't do that. There's a reason why. Many reasons why, but here's the number one reason why. I don't want to run for an office unless I can do everything possible to run to win. I ran for governor. And I took off 1.5 years of my life. I didn't work. I took no salary. I got financially my ass kicked. Right? Stressed my family. Because I know that to run for office, you shouldn't have any other job. Totally unfair, totally wrong and bad, and the only answer because it's a third party. So I couldn't have a job. And that's how I got ballot access for the first time. That's how I built out the team that I built out. That's how I got to the place I'm now, by sacrificing and saying, I cannot. And I ran 1.5 years early. I couldn't do that this time, Joe. I didn't have the financial resources. I didn't have the emotional credit in the bank for my family to do it. I just couldn't do it. So why would I do that when I can't do it the right way? Why would I ask all of you for money, time, and energy when I can't give it back, right? When I ran for governor, I asked a lot of you for time, money, and energy, and you gave me it. You gave me time, you gave me money, you gave me energy, and I gave you 100% of me for that, and I hope a legacy that I hope all of you are like, yes, I'm glad I gave that guy money. I'm not going to do it again until I can do that again. When I can do that again, I'll run again. Is that next year or 10 years from now? It's when I can do that again. That's when I would do it. I never want people going, I'm disappointed I gave Larry money. I want them to go like, I'm so glad I gave money. He busted his rump for me. He gave me what I wanted. He gave me results. He gave me impact. Yes. So I'm not going to run unless, I'm not trying to run to win. That's a vanity run. You hear me all the time say, don't run. If you can't do it, don't run. And libertarians get so mad at me when I say that. Oh, we got to run to put bullshit. No, we don't. We don't have to run. We don't have to do anything. What we have to do is have good candidates who can put 100% in. You don't have that, you're not doing me a favor. I don't need you to hold my line for me. It's a waste of my goddamn time. Donor burnout, volunteer burnout, loss, broken morale. That's been our party for 40 years. I'm trying to stop that. But Larry, I want to be a voice. I'm a voice and I'm not running. You can be a voice without running. You can do things without running. I'm not running. I'm still doing stuff. You don't have to run. Run when you can make impact. So thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. But if I was going to run for president or vice president, I would have started last year and I wouldn't be working. I would have been crossing the state last year. I'm sorry, cross the state. I'd been crossing the country last year, raising money. I raised $500,000 running for governor of New York. If I've been for president, I got to raise at least $5 million. Minimum. Just me. Doesn't include anybody else. I got to raise at least $5 million. That's just to have any impact at all. I want to win. I got to raise 100 times that. So, yes, I hope I answered your question. I appreciate it. I do. But again, I don't ask anything of you without asking of myself first. So if I'm going to ask you, give me more money, give me more time, give me more energy, I got to give it back to you first. So I hope that answers your question. All right. Is there a chance at the end of this we're left with just large corporations and a ton of people unemployed and dependent upon the government? Yeah. Yeah, Brad. Yeah. If so, how do we convey this message without having people think we don't care about passing away from the virus? I'm actually not sure that people are unhappy about this. I mentioned this earlier. About 1 in 7 Americans works for the government in some way, shape, or form. About 1 in 7, give or take. When this is over, a year from now, it'll be 1 in 6 or 1 in 5. Where else are you going to go? Small business is being destroyed. what you're going to watch as this happens, as all those small diners and shops close, they're going to be replaced by franchises, which are big business. And I want to be clear. I say it often, but I want to be clear. I'm not against franchises. They're amazing. Please, if you want to buy a franchise, please buy a franchise. They're awesome. All I'm saying is they're much bigger than they should be because of our government helping big business economy. There is absolutely a place for franchises in our economy. They should exist. I'm glad they exist. I love them. Right now, they're just way bigger than they should be. There should be an equal balance of big box, franchise, mom and pop. There should be a nice, friendly balance. You're going to see that all go away. It's going to be big box, franchise, mom and pop. So I think you're absolutely right. So what are people going to want? They're going to want jobs that are recession-proof. And the only jobs that are recession-proof are government jobs. Why? We just raise more taxes. We just print more money. They're the best job. That's no job recession-proof. I'm sorry. Recession-resistant. How about that? It's better. Recession-resistant. That they are. Those types. Big business, those types are better. But even big business, it's only if you're at the top. If you're at the bottom, you're the first to go. So I think it is going to happen. And I think the way you tell that story is not by going, I don't care about people. No. You say, don't you care about the entrepreneur? Don't you care about, how do you think someone gets out of poverty? Through getting that, and they're getting their MBA and what? That's one in a minute. They make movies about that guy or that gal. The average person does it by busting their ass in a small business. How do we know this? The drug war. The drug war, the war on drugs is literally, or now it's a little bit changed, but it was a war on brown and black entrepreneurs. That's what drug dealers are. I'm not joking. This is what they are. How do I know that? There's literally charities out there that find people who've been convicted of drug offenses, nonviolent, take them out. They work with MBAs and venture cap money to start businesses. I'm not making this up. Do your own homework. That's true. They do that because they know these guys and gals, but mostly guys, know how to run businesses, usually with violence. So we teach them, don't use violence. You have courts and cops now. No need for violence anymore. They run businesses. So I think you're totally right, Brad. That's going to happen. I'm not sure we can stop it right now. I think we have to show them the way to get around this is through entrepreneurship and through small business and through getting people not to jump on that that government bandwagon. All right. Great example of the restaurants. Thank you. All right. Hey, Larry, do you think the stimulus money will cause runaway inflation because no one's working to pay taxes? We're going to have to print all that money. I think inflation is going to happen eventually. It is. But I don't think this year. Most people want to get elected. I know it sounds horrible, but I'm just being forward. They want to be elected. So they're going to go out of their way to make sure there's not runaway inflation now, because we might blame the people who are in power right now, right? My local governor, Trump, my local congressman, my local senator, whatever. We might blame them. So they're going to try their best to not do it this year. Maybe next year it might happen. I think it could happen. I think it absolutely could. But again, we've been pumping money into the economy since 2008 to be forward. We learned nothing from 2008, 2009. Zero. We learned nothing. So what if the government was right? And I don't know what that means. Do you mean that this is a deadly disease? I'm assuming you mean that. I think it probably is a deadly disease. I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you're saying what the government, I'm not disagreeing with that. If you're saying what government right is that we need to shut everything down, no, that can't be right. Let me explain why that can't be right. You've probably heard me talk about this before. I speak about it often. As a Marine, we are taught that you have to function in horrible battlefield conditions, to include chemical weapons, biological weapons, to include, back when I was in the Marine Corps, tactical nukes. Now that's not really a threat for us there, and strategic nukes destroy everything. But tactical nukes don't destroy everything. They just make everything radioactive, right? So you have to deal with those issues. You still have to fight. And you still have to have a job and food and water and a career and internet access and ability to take care of your family and friends, people you love. You have to have that. If every time there's a virus, we shut everything down, you're never going to get that. You are going to be stuck in an environment to where only the wealthy have anything and everyone else is the poor. Because remember, in these type of crises, the very poor and the very rich are the least affected. I'm not saying we shouldn't care about the very poor, but we should always care about the very poor, crisis or not. We should always care about them. In this kind of crisis, they're not affected as bad as everyone else because they're already very poor. I hope we're working to fix them already. The very wealthy, they saw this coming. They've already had their people burn their books for them. They already are liquid. They're ready to buy. These types of crisis is the major reason why we have a gap in income. Wealth gap. Sorry, wealth gap, not income gap. Wealth gap. Because when this begins to happen, the working poor get devastated. The middle class, about half of them get crushed. Half step up a bit because they were part of the cool kids, but a bunch just get crushed. So that's what actually happens. So now what happens? I'm middle class or I'm working poor. I can't pay my bills. I start selling assets, whatever that is. I sell my car or my house or my home, or I trash my 401k or insert thing here. Well, who picks those up? The wealthy who are liquid. That's how they grab all those things. I'm middle class. I have, 2 or 3 apartments in a building that I own because I'm trying to move up, right? I can't afford it anymore. I sell it. Who picks it up? A massive developer. He picks up 2, 3 of them, knocks all 3 of them down, builds an apartment complex. Who moves in there? I do, because I can't afford anymore, so now I have to rent. Happens again and again and again. If we can't find a way to survive in a negative environment, every time a virus hits, we shut everything down, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, the middle class get destroyed, and I'm assuming, because you're watching this, you're not super wealthy, so you're either middle class or working poor, one of those two, I'm assuming. If that's true, you're hurting yourself and all of us watching. This isn't going to get better for us. There's going to be another virus. That's going to happen. Since there's going to be another virus, the government can't be right. It is impossible. You've just said, what if there are leprechauns? There aren't. It cannot be right. Government can't be right in this case, no matter what. Even if there's a deadlier virus, which there will be, whether that's 2 years from now or 40 years from now, who knows, there will be a deadlier one. Will happen. Well, if we don't learn how to function now, we're finished then. That's the end. We're finished at that point. Why bother? Be super wealthy and live on your bunker in some island. Otherwise, you're done. So, I don't know. I'm assuming that's what you meant, Anne. No disrespect intended at all. I hope that's what you meant. I hope I answered your question. All right. Keep going if I can. How do we limit emergency powers going forward? The only way we can limit emergency powers at all is by trying to tell them no. We don't want it. By talking. The saddest thing is I see so many people are like, yay! They're locking us in our homes. Yay! They're destroying our economy. Yay! For safety. Because you know what? If it saves one person, then it's okay. I hear that all the time. I do. What about the next one? What about the next one? 2 years from now, 4 years from now. What about the next one? The more I would ask, are we any safer since the last crash? No. Are we safer since the last virus? No. Because every time it's just, go home, be quiet. We have to start learning how to fix this and deal with this. All right. Let me go on a couple more. I'm sorry, guys. I want to try to get as many of these in as I can. So Maria says, medical cocaine dispensaries. To be forward, if we spend more time just trying to let doctors and patients work well together, those probably wouldn't be required. There'd probably be a better or safer, or cocaine's a pretty safe drug, but a better, cheaper drug than cocaine. That would probably be the same thing, right? Think about this. You may not get. Liquor stores are open. Essential liquor stores. So cocaine's illegal, cannabis in New York State illegal, but the liquor stores are open. I'm not joking. The liquor stores are open. So if your drug is booze, you're good and it's essential. But if your drug's cocaine or heroin or weed, no, it's not. Go to jail. Well, not probably not arresting people now, but go to jail. What are we saying? The hypocrisy in that is insane. Here's the worst part. What if you can't go out and get your drugs now? You're an addict. There's lots of addicts in this country. We know this to be true. It's a serious problem. You can't get your drugs now. What are you gonna do? Probably something stupid. Probably something stupid. You're gonna break into something, hurt somebody, do something bad. Yeah, you are. Something stupid. So yeah, I'm with you, Maria. Let's have some dispensaries. Law enforcement against prohibition has some good info. Yeah, very true. Yes. All right. What is it with auto dealers and big sales events? I gotta tell you, this is brilliant. There are two things you're seeing. You're seeing one thing, a tail end of advertisements, right? For some of you don't know, advertisers, as a general rule, they're 3 months out, right? So there's a lot of advertisers popping up that make no sense now because they've already paid for it and now they get their money back, so they're showing the ads anyway. So there's some of that. But it's the second thing. Chevy did something brilliant. Chevy now is saying, guess what? You can do an 84-month loan to buy a Chevy now. 84 months, why would I want that? Why would I want a 7-year loan? Because they also do a 120-day, I forgot the name, but they're calling it, but you don't have to pay for 120 days. So 4 months, you get to push off payments, no payments for 4 months. What was I talking about? 6 months with no payments. That's what I was talking about. So 4 months with no payments, and now it's over the next 84 months, right? So you got 120 months. 120 days. I apologize, guys. Sorry. 120 days, so 4 months without payment, and then you got 84 months to pay it off. What does that mean? 4 months without paying, and then imagine whatever your loan is over the course of 84 months. It's a very low payment. Don't get me wrong. They're getting you on interest. But Chevy's figured it out. They'll get their money on the back end. They'll suck it up now so you can get a Chevy out there. People can see it. Buy some more Chevys. They'll lose some money in the first 4 months, and they'll make it up in the back end. Why? Because many may or may not know this. Most car companies also have a banking arm. So Chevy also has whatever, I don't know, I'm making this up, Chevy Financial Company or whatever it is. They have an actual financial company. Well, they're going to get bailed out. And they know they're going to get bailed out. So the financial company pays the car company, and the financial company gets bailed out by the government. That's why they can do 120 days and 84 months. That's the reason why. So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing car companies do it. Others will follow. You are going to find others following this exact same model. They're going to start doing that same thing. So, all right. What can we do as ordinary citizens to mitigate the coming economic depression? Yes, I got to tell you, boy, the best thing you can do is jump on a gig economy. Start doing work any way possible. Start providing value any way possible. If you care about this, you can go. I did a video on how to make this happen, how to reboot yourself after a crisis. And the video is on my personal Facebook page, and it's also on my The Neo Sage group Facebook page and the Neo Sage YouTube page. So if you want to go to those, you can check it out. I did about a half hour. It's about a half hour video on how to reboot for exactly that. So I think that's one thing you can do. All right. So if I keep going, what are your thoughts on the ANCAP movement and anarcho-capitalism as a whole? I think it's an important part of the liberty movement. Absolutely. I'm one of the people, and those of you who know me, I am the widest, biggest tent libertarian there is. Absolutely. I want all of them in the tent. I want the ANCAPs. I want the libertarian socialists. I know somebody just went crazy. I want them all in. Why? Because people come to our movement from different places. Different places. And they move through our movement in different places. Some come from the left. Some come from the right. Some come out of nowhere. I came from the business side. They all come different places. And for some people, ANCAP, that's what they want to hear. They're in. Some scares them. They want to come in from the left. They go to LibSoc first. Some want to come to the right. They come from Mises first. All good. Whatever that is. Come any way you want to come and move around. Just stay. So I'm a big fan of... Look, people say, Larry, why don't we get rid of anarchists? I hear that all the time. And most mainstream libertarian candidates will be like, oh, the anarchists and the radicals are crazy. We don't want them. I don't say that at all. We need them. The people who are the purest anarchists in our movement, they keep us facing the right direction. And that's what I want. I want us facing the right direction. We can't always get there, right? We're nowhere near a voluntary society. I wish we were closer. We are nowhere near. Doesn't mean we shouldn't stop moving towards it and facing it at least. We're actually facing the opposite direction. This crisis brings us closer to oligarchy / dictatorship. It brings us closer, right? I want to turn us around. Face the right direction. So Oliver, I'm fine with it. I'm glad you're part of the movement. Please, stay. All right. Could prohibition defiance show us the path to defiance in this crisis? You know, John, that's a very good question. My worry is, as a general rule, this becomes violent and the cops hit hard. And if you hit cops hit hard worse. As a general rule, I think we have to get more people to believe that's the answer. Right? And right now you can see by our movement, a liberty movement, it's small, maybe 3% of the population. It's got to be 10 or 15%. It's got to be high enough to where people go, huh. Right now, if we do it, we're the weirdo freaks that hate America, or the weirdo freaks who don't care about old people, or the weirdo people who don't care about stuff. And there isn't going to be much sympathy for us, much empathy for us, much support for us. I think we have a lot more work to do. If you want to try it, go ahead. I don't think it's the right answer. I hope I answered your question. Do you think Cuomo ever relinquishes emergency powers? Yes, he will officially relinquish them. But he's going to keep a whole lot of that. And most importantly, he has set the precedent that this is how we react. And that's the worst part. Will he relinquish? Of course he will, officially. Right? Or he'll ask the assembly for something symbolic, and the assembly will go, oh, yes, king. And they'll bend and they'll say yes to him. And they'll go, oh, the assembly asked me to do this. I didn't want to, but because the assembly, begged me, I'll do it. But I think officially he will, but he'll keep a lot in place, and he set the tone to do it again and again and again. All right. Jake says, and by the way, Jake Cornell for Assembly, District 121. Don't forget, go over to his Facebook page. Right now, our king is trying to pass a bill to ban all flavored liquids, e-liquids, yes, which will end the vaping industry. He wants it by April 1st. Meanwhile, Italy keeps vape shops open in this crisis. Thoughts? You know where I am on this, Jake. I know you just want me to talk about it, and I get it. Thank you for that. I'm happy to talk about the vaping industry. No worries whatsoever. The reality of it is, this crisis is when he'll sneak other stuff in, too. This is to John's point, right? To Todd's point, right? Now he's got emergency powers. He'll do all these things. Yeah, he will. And now he'll destroy another industry. Because you know what New York needs right now? Destruction of more industry. You know we need now even more than ever? Closing down stores. Wow, how horrible is this? The idea of banning e-flavored liquids while leaving liquor stores open who all have flavored liquors is so hypocritical. This is just a way of crushing an industry, supporting the tobacco industry, and getting that federal funds, that government money. That's what this is all about. It's about getting government money, showing power, supporting the tobacco industry, and crushing a small industry. It is a terrible idea. He'll do it again in the name of safety. That's what he'll do. It's a joke. It's embarrassing. I don't know why we're destroying the vaping industry. If you don't want to vape, don't vape. I don't vape. I support the industry. I don't vape. Not my thing. Maybe it's yours. Then vape. Right? I don't smoke. You want to smoke? Go smoke. And that's fine, but vaping's not. This makes no sense. It's a terrible idea, but sadly, again, they go to the same thing. Look, 6 people died. Therefore, destroyed the industry. Do we see the thing? Remember, smoking has become part of the plan. So you can't even compare vaping to smoking. Right? How many thousands of people die every month from smoking? Thousands every month. Doesn't matter. Smoking's part of the plan. Vaping is new and therefore scary and not part of the plan. This is emotional. I know some of you logical libertarians are getting upset at me. Time for you to get this, guys. I know you hate it. Time to get it. Humans are both emotional and logical, and politics is all about emotion. All about emotion. Remember, running for office is literally a popularity contest. That's what it is. It's not because you're the clearest or the smartest. You're the most popular. It's a popularity contest. All right. Let me keep going if I could. Let's see. Would you consider running for office as a Republican to help your chances of winning? No, I don't think I would. I appreciate that, Alex. They've actually asked me here in New York in the past. I've said no because what would happen? I would become another Republican if I won. I'd have to sit back and follow all the rules they follow. I would be completely ineffective. Look, is the Liberty Caucus in Congress effective now? No. Amash left them. That's how ineffective they are. So I'll be another one of those guys? I'll pass. I would rather run as Libertarian. I'm actually more popular as Libertarian than if I'd run as a Republican. Because as a Republican, I'm another Republican. As Libertarian, small pond, I'm a bigger fish. So I'm actually more popular as a Libertarian, and I get to do stuff like this a whole lot more as a Libertarian. My message comes out more. People know who I am. I think it's better. Now, you might say chances of winning. I want to win. I run to win. But winning isn't the end game. The end game is impact. The end game is change. The end game is a better world, a better country, a freer society. That's the end game. Winning would help that, absolutely, and I want to win, and I hope the next time I run, I win. I hope I do. And if I run again, I will run to win. I ran again to win last time, I'll run to win again this time. But if I get a freer society and I get impact, I'm good. You know, once, I bring this up often, once I was in New Jersey doing an event, one of their conventions, and a guy asked, he said, Larry, what movie archetype are you? And I said, I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm the guy who dies fighting Darth Vader so that you guys can win, right? I'm the one who's in the back going, the Force is with you. I'm that guy, right? So I don't mind if I don't win. I want to win. I'll try to win. But it's more important that others win too. The Liberty Movement can't be the Larry Sharpe Show. There is a Larry Sharpe Show. You're watching it now. It's called The Sharpe Way. So there is a Larry Sharpe Show. That's the Larry Sharpe Show. The Liberty Movement cannot be the Larry Sharpe Show. We don't require a savior. We've tried that. It hasn't worked. What we need is literally hundreds upon hundreds of heroes. And I'm hoping that I can help to create more and more of them. We need lots of heroes out there, not just the savior. So I hope that was clear. What advice you give for small business owners right now? Again, for those of you who want business advice, I'm happy to give it. Absolutely. The best place to get that right now is go to my YouTube page called The Neo Sage. TheNeosage. The Neo Sage. There's tons of videos on that. I just did a piece on revamping your career. I'm happy to do stuff there. Reach out to me via that Twitter, the Neo Sage Twitter. Reach out to me that way. I'm happy to give you tons of business advice. I'm happy to give you tons of career advice. Happy to. Absolutely. Hope that was helpful, James. What are your thoughts on Trump shutting down price gouging? As I mentioned earlier with that, price gouging is not really the right answer. When you stop price gouging, that's when the shelves empty, right? So it actually in the long run begins, to hurt. All right. Let me keep moving down here. Holy crap! I agree with the liberal. I despise drugs, overregulation, increased harm. I like this. Oh, who's the liberal? Am I the liberal? I'm a libertarian, but that's fine. You can call me liberal. I don't mind. I'm glad. Yes, let's get rid of drug war. If helping you get rid of us getting rid of drug war means I'm a liberal, call me liberal. I'm in. Call me whatever you want. All good. All right. It's not our tax money. We're $22 trillion in debt. I think 23 now, Justin. I think we're going even bigger. They ran out of tax money long ago. I agree. We're just printing this up. And eventually, if we can't turn this around, if we can't figure out how to function in this horrible environment, we are walking our way to defaulting as a nation. Let me say it again. If we can't figure this out, we are walking our way down to an area of having to default as a nation. That is not a good deal. All right. What are some of the victories for freedom that we can come out of this crisis with? The hope is that people get that decentralization is better than centralized control. That's the hope. I'm not sure that will be true, but I hope that will be true. And the second thing is realizing that when the federal government and state governments can't handle things, local people can. Many of us are stepping up. If they see that, the people will get. Who helped us? It wasn't the government. It was my local people. Who bought groceries for me? Who brought them to me? Who checked in on me? It was my local neighbors, not my government. If we see that, we can actually see things begin to happen up. You can definitely see things get better from that. All right. Let me keep going if I can. The private sector can provide. I have friends sewing masks under specs. Yes. Thank you, Monica. Of course it can. Yes. We absolutely can provide. And we will. And look, the idea that we would just sit back and wait for the government to come. I would hope Hurricane Katrina has taught us that doesn't work very well. This one, again, didn't work very well. The crash didn't work very well. When it comes to crashes and viruses and anything like that, here's what we have to understand. They will always lie to us until the end. Always. Every single time. Not 80%, not 90%, 100%. They will lie to us until they can't anymore. That's how it works. This isn't just a Trump thing. It's a Trump thing. But it's not just a Trump thing. It's a every single president ever thing. Every single executive, governor, every one of them thing. It's a every president thing. You think they didn't know this was happening before? Of course. They actually had reports that showed them this. And they said nothing. They said nothing. Until all of a sudden, oh my God, I can't hide it anymore. Oh yeah, it's this. Absolutely. All the time. All right. Evans says, at a time like this, we need to have a shot at a third-party president. I do think you're right. I think that we want to try to make the third party grow to the best of our ability. I think we do. We want to try. And we can. And we can. All right. How can people be against staying on forever to get rid of this thing? I guess it means staying in forever. Some of us are in the at-risk and no longer, and the longer the thing is around, we will never be able to leave our homes. Yeah, this is it, right? How long do we stay in? 3 months? 6 months? 9 months? How do we find out how it can function and work if no one comes out? How do we do that? Right? How do we figure this out? We don't until people start coming out. We have to. They might say, well, Larry, that's cruel. No, make it voluntary. You might say, Larry, these old people, you don't want them to die. The old people get old. Not everyone is old who's get it. Not everyone's old who'll die. Some people have immunity systems, have previous conditions. The issue is, let them go if they want to go. And this is hard for people to understand, and they think that it's cruel. But I'm going to tell you that it's not cruel. Be very clear on this. This is from my own family. So I'm not saying your family. I'm saying my family. Both my parents died of cancer. My father died of gastrointestinal cancer, stomach, intestines. My mother died of lung cancer. My father died as he was dying. He wanted to stay alive no matter what. And this is the 70s and the 80s. He wanted to stay alive no matter what. He was like, give me chemotherapy. He had 3 operations because he wanted to live. He wanted quantity of life is what he wanted. He still died, but that's what he wanted. Totally fine. My mom, when she passed, which was about 20 years later, when she passed, she had seen my father die and other people around her die of cancer. She didn't want that anymore. She said, I want quality of life. And if I can't have quality of life, then I'm fine dying. Fine. I'm fine dying. She was out traveling when she was on chemo. She wore a mask, but she would go out. She wanted to spend time with my grandkids, with her grandkids, my kids, me. That's what she wanted. That's what she wanted. Both answers are correct because both people own their own life and you own your own life. I don't. Neither does Cuomo. Neither does Trump. And if you say, I don't care, I want to go out and risk, then you can. It's your life. But Larry, it'll affect someone else. Then don't hang around that person. You also have the right to disassociate with someone who wants to go out there and be reckless with their life. It's up to them. I would hope if you're at risk, don't go out. But if you want to go out and enjoy yourself, it's your life, not mine. I don't decide how you live your life. You do. You do. So I say for my own life, my father said, I want quantity of life, do everything to keep me alive. His life, that's fine. My mother said, nope, I'm going to go out and risk because I want to have a good life till I go. And when I go, I'm okay with that. I want quality of life. Both are the right answer. In this crisis, the same thing. The same thing. All right. I just feel like certain companies being very irresponsible. I agree, but here's the issue. Why are most of these companies not having great safety precautions? Most of them are larger companies too. Why? Because all they care about is government mandate. They won't get in trouble because we've decided the government is what matters. If the government doesn't give me safety precautions, I don't have to have any. How can you sue me when I follow all the government rules? That's the issue. Once you have government as the rules, what happens is, not did you hurt people, not that people die, not that things bad happen. The question is, did you follow the regulations? Oh, you did? Then you're fine. Why do you think all these companies constantly hurt, maim, and kill people and have some type of resolution, and it ends with we did no wrongdoing, even though people are dead, even though people are hurt, because the wrongdoing is against the state. They follow regulations, so no wrongdoing. Always remember, when you focus specifically on regulations, it makes the victim no longer the victim. The crime is not against the individual. The crime is against the state. Write your check to the state. We're all good. No wrongdoing. So I think you're right. Certain companies are doing a poor job. What's their damage? None. I agree. So how about we change that? When you become governor of New York, will you please change the name of that? Yes, John, I will absolutely change the name of the bridge, which is now the Tappan Zee Bridge. I will change the name of that bridge in New York. Absolutely, 100%. Yes. All right. Hold on. Do you support following Planck proposed libertarian platform 1.4? Gender autonomy. Individuals have the sole authority to determine and express their own gender identities. No entity has the power to supersede individual authority. I've never heard of that. That sounds pretty good to me, right? Individual sole authority. I think that's true. To be forward with you, Ashley, this is the first I've seen this. I don't really pay much attention to the platform, to be forward, and that makes some of you angry. Some of you wish that I was spending more time on things like platform. It's not my thing. This is my thing. So the concept, on board. No entity has the power to supersede this individual authority. I think that's true. Makes sense to me. Should it be a change in a platform? I actually don't know. I don't know if it should be a change. I don't know if other platforms already cover that. I don't know if it's required. I'm actually unsure. The sentiment, I agree with 100%. Should it be in the platform? I actually don't know. I wish I had a better answer for you, Ashley. But I agree with the sentiment completely. All right. Oliver, you keep asking the same question. I've already told you. All right. Hold on. What do you think will be impact the worst at the end of all of this? The biggest issue, the biggest impact will be on the amount of accumulated wealth of the middle class and the working poor. That is going to go away. That is the biggest impact. And when that goes away, the second thing will come with that. The lack of ownership in their business, in their career, in everything they do. We are becoming more childlike, and this is going to break their psyche. It's going to break a lot of people who should be out there working. Really, really should do this. All right. What do we do, and what is our role as libertarians when we see people congregating, risking public health of others? Yeah, tell them that it's a bad idea. Tell them. I don't have a problem. Remember something. Just because you're libertarian doesn't mean you don't care. Just because you're libertarian doesn't mean you can't use your freedom of speech. We have freedom of speech and freedom of association. I can tell people, what are you doing? Why are you acting like assholes? Don't do that. Stop. I do it all the time. Right? I tell people, stop. You shouldn't do that. What's wrong with you? I should all over people. As long as I should on myself first, then I should all over others, right? I try to not be a hypocrite. I am sometimes a hypocrite. We are all hypocrites. Emotion makes us hypocrites. I try very hard to not be a hypocrite. but sometimes you all are. To the best of my ability, I try not to do that. But I tell people, you shouldn't. I come online all the time and tell people what they should do all the time. The difference is you don't have to. You can go, Larry, thank you for your advice. Have a nice day. Shut up. I'm done with you. You can do that if you want to. I hope you don't. I hope you say, Larry makes some sense. Let me do what he says because it makes sense because I agree. That's what I would like you to do. I hope you will. Or at least I hope you listen to me. I hope you do. But you don't have to. You can tell me, no. Thank you, Larry. Go back in your house. Thank you. I want to hear you. You can. We can tell people, they don't. We can protest them. We can go on and tell them don't do it. We can make websites. We can promote. We can have others disassociate with them if they do this. We can pull people away, not physically, but saying, why are you there? Come on, stop. We can do all those things. You can still say and tell and convince others. The only thing you can't do, shouldn't do, we do. What we shouldn't do is force people. The reality of it is, if you're someone who's going to get together and put people at risk, is the government going to actually stop you? No. We'll feel righteous when we yell and scream at you, but all you're going to do actually is move someplace else and do exactly the same thing, or move underground. That's literally the black market, right? The war on drugs is a perfect example of that. Has the war on drugs stopped drugs? No. Forcing someone to not gather, they're not going to gather? Of course they're going to gather. Just underground, someplace where you can't see them. We have to convince people, show them that they should be doing the right thing. And the funny thing is, most will. Again and again and again, we have seen this. Most will. All the time, constantly, you see it again and again and again. People do it constantly. All right. I've covered a bunch. I think I'm going to try. Wow, so many. I love it. Thank you so much. Let me go down a couple more if I can. One. I have a lot of people who are asked, but most is going back and forth now. Okay, great, good. I'm glad you're going back and forth. All right. Here, no, turn to a, okay. I'm sorry, guys. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm trying to find the right ones that make sense. All right, someone's asking me to talk about my health care plan. All right, let me bring this up and what would have actually happened, just so you're clear on this. What you're going to hear from people now is the only answer right now is Medicare for all. That's the answer. Medicare for all, Medicare for all, Medicare for all. There's no other answer. That's what you're going to hear. The reality of it is having a single monopoly on medical would not have helped at all. Would have made things better or worse. Wouldn't have made, if anything, would have made things worse. It wouldn't. Instead, what should have happened? What should have happened is we should have had a system to where people could actually opt out and begin to do their own thing. Now, once we start doing this and allowing others to do it any way they want to do it, this transition might take a year or 2 or 3. It might. It depends on how we do this and how eager people are to accept this. Right now, most people would be very afraid to just end Medicaid, Medicare. Most would. Some would be okay with it, and maybe you could get it done. Just, I think most Americans would be afraid of it and wouldn't do it and would do something worse. In fact, if we pushed it, they'd probably push the opposite way. So I think instead we'd rather make it to where people can begin to opt out of insurance, allow, get rid of things like certificates of need, allow people to start creating their own facilities easier. What you see begin to happen is the idea that we almost have it like a gym model, right? I'll give you the gym model. Some of you like this story, the gym model, right? The gym model is where I'm a doctor and I have 100 people who are my patients. All my patients pay me a flat fee every month. They pay me $300 a month. They have a family, $500 a month. I know that's my income. That's what I'm making. Every single month, that's what I'm making because they're my monthly customers, whatever those are. Now, when the customers are giving me this money, I say, come to my facility whenever you want. It costs $5. That's it. Whatever you get, $5. Doesn't matter what it is. Show up when you need to. Make an appointment. It's $5. That's all it is. It's not free. They try this for free in other countries. When they try it for free, elderly people, the retirees, would show up every day because it was free. It would become their hangout place. They bring coffee. So we had to make it cost something. So $5. People show up for $5. So as this begins to grow, now life is good. I get another doctor in. Doctor comes in. You get this extra guy. You know, I'm the guy who's the the pediatrician and the woman I bring in, she's a foot doctor. So you get a pediatrician and a foot doctor. Awesome. What's it cost you? $5. Price can change. She brings some of her clients. They start paying, and people start paying. More people come. They like it. Our goal, our two doctors, is for you to never show up. It's the gym model. If you don't show up, we collect your money. We're playing Uno all day. Life is good. If you show up, we treat you to the best of our ability. We can sit with you for 5 minutes or 2 hours. It doesn't matter. I'm not billing you through Medicaid or Medicare or insurance. You've already paid. So I can stay as long as required to help you out. But not just that. In the current system, you've got to be sick for me to get paid. But in this system, I get paid no matter what. I don't want you in my office. My entire goal is prevention. So we're talking nothing but prevention. We're giving classes. We're showing people how to do things. We're talking to you about how do you eat, how do you sleep, don't get in trouble. Our entire goal is prevention. Right? So you have tons of prevention out there. You don't show up. We make more money. We bring on someone else. We bring on a person who is a good general practitioner. Now we got all three. Pediatrician, general practitioner, and a foot doctor. We're doing so well. Now we bring on someone we buy an MRI machine, put it in the basement, and we hire a specialist to do the MRIs. So you can buy for an MRI. What's it cost you? $5. Why? We own the machine, and the person is on payroll. $5. Doesn't matter. As the practice gets bigger and bigger, more people pay. We're trying to keep you safe. We bring on more facilities. You get more and more service for $5. You're telling all your friends about how awesome we are. Dude, you pay $300 a month. It's $5. It's amazing. I got an MRI. I got all these things, X-rays, whatever. All done, $5. Wait a minute, Larry. What about the poor? All right, first off, I don't have to get rid of Medicaid and Medicare if I don't want to. I can keep it for now. You want to keep that, or join my plan. So the safety net's still there. I didn't get rid of it. Not yet. Don't need to. Not yet. Or, what does the government do? Okay, I'll make you a deal. Government, here's what I do. Government can now step in and say, you know what, Larry Sharpe on your doctors, tell you what I'm going to do. If you make 10% of your population the poor, give it to them for free. However, we decide poor. In this case, I'm making up poor is eligible for school lunch. I'm making that up. It will be whatever the government decides. It's government. They'll pick out the answer, right? Then no payroll tax for any of your personnel. No payroll tax. So now, if I'm a small facility, my payroll tax probably isn't that high. I might not agree. If I'm a larger facility, my payroll tax is pretty high. I might go, deal, government, deal. Deal. I'll take that deal. So now I'm taking people for free. The government says it's poor for whatever reason, or disabled, or insert thing here. Those same people get the same high quality as everybody else. $5. $5. Larry, $5 is too much. No, it isn't. Stop. No one in this country cannot spend $5 for a doctor's visit unless you don't have an address. And if you don't have an address, you're homeless. You either aren't going to the doctor or the emergency rooms will take you. So that's not even an issue. $5 is fine. This could be done again and again and again to the point where why would anyone decide to go there? Here's a better bet. If you take your Medicaid, Medicare, you allow people to use like a credit card to go to private doctors. Now all of a sudden, private doctors want Medicaid, Medicare money, we'll just swipe the credit card. No more paperwork, nothing. Just done. That begins to happen, changes everything. There are many ways we could have made this happen. If that would have happened, you know what actually would have happened? We would have seen this coming, would have reacted appropriately. The doctors, remember, the goal of the practice in this case is prevention. The second we would have heard of the virus coming from China, as soon as we heard of it, all of the doctors have been telling all of our people, guys, now is the time. Start wearing masks. Here's how you do it. Start quarantining. Let's get tests done. We would have had tests already without government saying a word. All local would have had. We would have bought them months ago. We would have had them ready. You come in, test, quarantine, immediately. Of course that would have happened. And guess how much it would have cost you? $5. $5. If we have to do a house call, we could do it. Who cares if we have to? We could focus on our patients who are sick. We could focus on them. Absolutely. We'd have enough money as a business coming in that we could hire a specialist. Bring them in. Someone specialist for this issue, this situation. Bring them in. We could send out guidelines. Do this, do that, do this immediately. We could have hand sanitizer. We'd mail it to you. Deliver it. Of course we would. That would happen again and again and again. If we had that system 2 or 3 years ago, less people would be dying right now. I know I went long. I'm sorry. You guys asked for that. I do that all the time. Thank you. All right. Do you think the financial crisis could be worse than the virus itself? Without question. The financial damage is going to be far worse. Here's what I promise you. I promise you. When this is over, within 3 years, whatever amount of people we will lose more to suicide and drug overdose than we've lost to this virus. Guaranteed. No doubt. No doubt. We will have lost more within 3 years to suicide and drug overdose than to this. Guaranteed. The amount of damage to the American psyche this is doing. 2008 crushed so many American psyches. It's one of the reasons why we have so many drug problems. This isn't the only reason. That's one of the reasons why we have so many. One of the reasons why suicide is shooting up. That's one of the reasons. Again, there are many. I'm not saying it's the only. There are many, but that's one of them. Again, you find this is going to happen again. More people who... Think of the people who survived the last one, just barely got out, and now they're into a second one. They barely broke... I'm up now! I've recovered! And gone. Think of this. Think about worse. I mean, you guys always beat up millennials. Millennials came out into this workforce in the crappiest workforce you could imagine after the big crash. Now, some of them are starting to make a bit of cash. Some of them aren't. Most of them through the gig economy. And now that's gone. How the hell do they think? We are pushing them to socialism like there's no tomorrow. We are begging them to become socialists. We're begging them to become socialists. Nothing else is working for them. Of course I think it's the right answer. So yes, the financial damage will be far worse than anything else in the long run. Short run, probably not, right? The virus is going to kill more people. It is. I hate to say it, but it is. But long run, not even, it definitely will be more damage. All right. Because of the virus, college students are now taking online classes. You think this will create a new conversation to get the degrees? Yes, I hope so. I hope students, look, they're not going to have to pay their student loan. I hope we finally figure out we should stop sending all our kids to college all the goddamn time. Right? One of them is going to kill us also, and is going to make us go into more debt. Once we do this package that's going to make us put us $2 billion into debt, $2 trillion into debt, we're going to put another couple trillion in, getting rid of all this college debt. These kids can't get jobs, and they're $100,000 in debt. That can't be bankrupted out. You can't even erase with bankruptcy. The amount of bankruptcies is going to happen over this. Oh my God, there's going to be millions of bankruptcies because of this. Millions. Increase our debt. And of course, bankruptcy does not discharge student loans because it's a racket. It's a government racket. Doesn't discharge loans. What are those people going to do? More bankruptcies, more problems. Yeah, maybe stop going to college so much. It's not helping. It's making your life worse. Most colleges are useless. Most suck. And I'll make some of you people mad when I say it, but you know it. You know it to be true. Most of them are bad. I hope, Avery, that what this does is it actually allows colleges to shift in teaching what's valuable. Right? Changes the entire thing. I hope this changes all schooling. All schooling. Some of you who have your kids at home now are learning something. You're learning your kids learn a whole lot better and a whole lot more when they're at home. My kids are thriving at home. They are being so creative. They are learning so much. We are going through things they didn't want to go through. We're watching educational TV, talking about things, writing things up. They're drawing stuff. I have 2 girls, 15 and 9, and they are being amazing. This is the greatest thing. I can't complain at all. It's awesome. So, Avery, I think you're right. All right. Hold on. Okay. What are you singing? Here Comes the Bride. Oh. No, it was Hail to the Chief. Sorry. Okay. Keep going. What can the president do about financial crisis, end wasteful spending, and wars, stop the Fed from printing? They're not going to stop the Fed from printing, John. I wish they were. We are going to use the Fed as our magic bank. We always do. I wish it wasn't true, but we just do. We just do. Vince says, do you think now it's not a good time to go back to school? Will the job market recover in 3 to 4 years? I think opportunity costs are probably as low as they'll ever be. Interest rates are tanking. I think going to school is a waste of your time. I know it's going to make people angry. I think it's useless. You're going to go to school, gain more debt. You're going to come out. Jobs aren't going to be there. You're going to be in more debt. I would rather you spend this time right now. And this is my personal opinion. Again, if you guys care, you can go to my YouTube page, The Neo Sage. I have a bunch of videos on this. The most recent one was how you can retool yourself in the crisis. Please enjoy. It's TheNeosage. I think going to school now is a total waste of time and money. I would rather you start thinking big and trying something big. Why? If you screw up now and go bankrupt, everyone's going to know it. You're like, yeah, you went bankrupt during a crash. Got it. We all did. Don't worry about it. It's fine. The bankruptcy that you're going to have is not going to hurt you anywhere near as it will 4 years from now. Do it now if you're going to do it. Gamble on something now. Learn something now. And here's the best part. If you can get a job and or keep a job now, when are you going to lose one? If you can start a business and make one work now, you're never going to lose it. So my gut, Vince, says now's your time to gamble, not now's your time to dig in. Right? There's a lot of people who thought, I got a job, so I'm good. And they don't have a job anymore. They thought they were fine. They're not fine. So now's your time to gamble. That's my view. You go to school now, you're going to go to college, you're going to spend X amount of dollars, whatever that is. You're going to spend 3 or 4 years doing that. When everyone else is learning what the new environment is, you're in some school learning stuff that you're not going to use. Then when you're out of that, so you get some credential that no one cares about. And you go off and try to get a job and you're working at Starbucks. Look, I live in the city and I'm in Manhattan all the time. I'm in Queens all the time. And the amount of people I see working at Starbucks, I'm not joking, with master's degrees would make us cry. So I'm not a fan. Just my opinion. Please obviously do what you think is appropriate. I'm not a big fan at all. All right. The locally owned radio stations put together an online concert to raise money for local musicians and roadies. They have a goal of 10K since yesterday, and they've had over 6K donated. Monica, thank you. This is community. This is what I'm talking about. We can do this, guys. Community matters. We can absolutely do this, right? The more we do this, the better. The more we do it, the better. We can do this. All right. I'd like everyone is got some queer question. I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry. All right. Can you please look into having Joel Salatin on your podcast? He's a big advocate in the local food movement and regenerative agriculture. His book title is okay. Christo, have him reach out to me. I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to do so. All right. I hope you're staying safe. My advice is to save as much as possible so you can stay home in case this gets worse. I hope it's not true, Anon777. I hope that's not true, but I think you might be right. I hope you're not, right? I hope people can stay home and make some money. We're going to have to learn how to do that, which is okay. Because look, again, if we learn how to function when we have to stay at home, we'll be quarantined, we're ready for the next one. Right? The biggest thing that I keep talking about is, if we don't fix now, what happens when the next one comes? Are we telling everybody that every single time we have a crisis, the answer is shut everything down? Shut it all down. We have a problem, shut it all down. We can't have that work. It means that our enemies, people trying to stop us, internal politics to try to break somebody down, a virus is a good idea. Scare, scare, scare. It's really bad. All right. The Second Amendment grants us safety, safety from tyrannical government, and self-defense. You know, I got to tell you, there's a lot of people right now who are rethinking the Second Amendment. They really are. They're rethinking the Second Amendment. And I mean that because, well, now a lot of cops aren't out there trying to grab people who are doing theft or murder, whatever the case may be. A lot of cops aren't now. But more important, you have people who are addicts, who are going to do dumb things, who are going to try to take what they need to deal with their issue. Well, I don't have a gun now. Now what? Maybe we'll have with a bat. Maybe. If you're desperate, you go find a gun. If you're not desperate, you don't. So I think that really is an issue. But what you're finding is, what's the government doing? Can't buy guns, stopping this, stopping that. Yep, they use this as a reason to stop the Second Amendment. Todd, you are correct. It's garbage. Look, if you want to protect yourself in the way that you feel appropriate, whatever that is. If you don't like guns, don't buy guns, right? I'm not trying to give everybody guns. You don't like guns, don't buy one. No worries. If you think it's the right answer, do it. It's, again, as I said earlier, your life protected as you see fit, whatever that is. All right. Yes, I gave an Amish plug. Absolutely. All right. I'm going to keep going. New York doesn't deserve you. Thank you, beam me up. I think New York does. I am a New Yorker. I am. Absolutely. All right. Crystal says, I've had libertarian-leaning views for a while, but I'll be resonating with libertarian in large part to you. Thank you. Absolutely. Garrett, we will bleed with you again, Larry, when you're ready. Thank you so much. When we're ready, we'll do it again. Not right now, though, but eventually we will. Yes. Chris says, Larry, if a market has a limit on canned goods and you only purchase 2 per day, wouldn't that promote one to then have a venture out daily instead of self-quarantining? It's really like green beans to get more. Yeah, I mean, exactly. All of these rules, Chris, you're totally right. Right? How about the idea of, you can only buy 2 cans per day? Great. So now instead of me going out one time with my one mask one time to buy 10 cans or whatever, green beans I like, right? Now I got to go out twice. 3 times. 4 times. Exactly correct. Remember, someone earlier asked, do we have to, swap freedom for safety? I'm not sure that's true. I think very often when you take away, freedom, you don't really get any safety. Chris, you're on the money. Yes, I think you should. Why would you be limiting, right? Now, if you as a store are deciding to limit for some other reason because you want people to come into your store, I guess, but why wouldn't you instead get ready for it as they put more green beans out, right? And get more people to show up again and again and again, finding the right answers. Or raise the price, which I know sounds bad, but then you know what, Chris? If the price goes up, how much do you like those green beans? You like them that much? You pay triple price. You don't like them that much? You stay home. So I think both of those work. Marie, aren't you chilly? No, I've got a heater on right here so that I can wear my cool Sharpe Way shirt because I got to promote. I got to promote too, guys. If you guys like the Sharpe Way, got to promote. So I'm not, Maria. Thank you. By the way, thank you for that plug. For those of you who want to support, please feel free to support. Some of you I know don't have any money. You don't have any money, I got it. You don't have to give me any. You either lost your job, you're not sure, you're financially worried. Don't worry about it. Here's how you can help. Share this everywhere. That's free. Check like, subscribe, put a comment in, click like. All those things you can do, they're free. If you have money, or if you are in a good financial situation, or your job is all good, then head on over to patreon.com/sharpeway and support this show. Throw me $5, $10, $20, $50 a month if you got it. If you got it, give me the money. Yes, I'm asking for it if you got it. If you don't have it, I get it. A lot of us are in trouble right now. No worries. It's free to share. You can share, click like, you can put a comment. That's free. Do that. You can support me either way. Thank you, Maria. So, all right. Let's see if I can keep going. What do we do and what is the role of libertarians? So that already. Done with that. All right. Happy birthday. It's not my birthday. Franchises can cushion the blow. Yes, absolutely. I'm not anti-franchise at all. 100% I'm not. I'm just saying they're really big, though. That's all. Where do you see the value of the Federal Reserve note going in the next couple of months? I have no idea. I'm scared of that. I think our dollar is... Look, the reality of it is, most people don't know this, our dollar is actually backed by our military, right? Our dollar is backed by our military. It's the dollar, and it costs money, because if you don't believe it, we'll invade you, right? So that's kind of where we are. We'll leave your country, we won't protect you, whatever, insert thing here. My biggest worry on this regard is, this is the perfect time for someone to start a war. Happened Depression before World War II. Perfect time to start a war. This is the time, right? So I really hope that our leaders don't go, my God, we've screwed up terribly. The economy is a disaster. What we could use is those bad guys. Let's go kill them. Let's go bomb and kill them and invade them. And the American people will forget about this, and we'll put people in uniform, and we'll start making guns and tanks and bullets, and all of a sudden things will be fine. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think that's necessarily something that we can just walk away from. That might happen. I really hope not. All right. Kev says, part of the reason the bailout bill was voted against is because the left wants a $15 minimum wage. airline carbon reduced by 2025, and much more pork spending. Yes, this is my point. I don't want any of that. Just suspend 6 months, all bills, we're done. That's it. No pork. No, I want my thing, he wants his thing, she wants her thing. None of that. Instead, just suspend 6 months. Financial institutions, write a check to them later. We're going to anyway. Let us rebuild. Let us retool. Let us move forward. Kev, you're exactly right. It's a terrible idea. Absolutely. All right. Chaz says, sorry so long. I thought your campaign was awesome. Although you think about policy, I went around for several years. I try to analyze policy. Some different I can't figure out. Okay. How can I prepare my mind for innovative moral policy to promote liberty? Okay. Here is how. People often tease me. And they say, Larry, how can you have all these policies for almost everything? How do you do that? Here's the reason. Remember something, Chaz, and everyone else. Number one thing. No force. Number one thing. No force. So what do I have to do? I have to convince people and set up environments and set up ideas to where people will move to certain areas. What I learn in business, what I learn in politics, is you can't always get the right outcome, but you can control which outcomes happen. And if you do that, you can deal with either outcome, right? When I ran for governor, I couldn't, no way could I assure victory, but I knew I could get at least ballot access. So what were my options? Ballot access, not doing so well. Coming in third or second place, amazing. Or winning, mind-blowing. They're all good. I don't know which one, but I got all three. All our policies should be the same. Policies should be, how do I make it to where things will go better than what we are now? Measure all our policies, not against perfection, because there is no perfection. If you measure anything against perfection, you lose. Measure our policies against current status quo. And when people say, yes, but Chaz, that policy has this hole. Great. Doesn't the current one? Well, yeah. So let's measure against the current one. Is it better than the current policy? Well, it is. Why are you so angry? Why are you so angry? It's better than the current one. I asked the other question. What happens when people say no? If when people say no, people with uniforms and guns come, that's not a good policy. Have a policy to where people with uniform and guns don't have to show up. But a last concept in general, what I do, and this is not what every libertarian does, this is what I do. I look at government as a monopoly. Because it is. But that's how I see government, as a monopoly. I think monopolies suck. How do you break monopolies? By creating an environment to where other people can come up and compete against the monopoly. By creating options that are not the monopoly. Policy should always be that way. When I talk about anything I talk about, it's always other options and allowing consumers to decide where to go. Whoever consumes that service or product, they choose where to go. You break the monopoly of government, you tend to have better policies. No violence, break the monopoly of government. As a good general rule, that's pretty good. And last, no policy ends with guys and gals in uniforms coming with guns. Do that, you should be okay. All right. Where am I? Okay. You get that one. What have we learned? 69? Don't know. Okay. Okay. No one can run like Larry did. Run as hard as you can, Tim. Make impact and connections. Yes, absolutely, guys. Impacts everything. Please, impacts everything. All right. So this may be a silly question, but can you explain why libertarians are against the Fed? One of some good resources to find. Yes. Oh, do I have my book? I don't have my book around me. I had it upstairs because I had it with my friends. All right. There is a book literally by my buddy, my friend. It's called Why the Federal Reserve Sucks by Murray Sabrin. So if you want to get this book, you can get this book. I think it's on Amazon. It's literally called Why the Federal Reserve Sucks by Murray Sabrin. I believe it's Sabrin, Murray, Murray. He ran for Senate as a Libertarian in New Jersey. It is one of the best books on why the Fed sucks. But as a general rule, Crystal, this is a very simple thing. What the Fed does is it prints money and gives it to banks. That's literally what it does. It prints money and gives it to banks. You can imagine that's not a good thing. Our money isn't based upon gold or anything. It's based upon, I say it's a dollar. Common sense, the more dollars I print, the less value the dollar has. It is basically an investment. It is basically an inflation machine. The Fed is an inflation machine. It is not part of the government. It's a private bank that makes very, very rich people even richer, and it supports banks, doesn't support the average person. But for details, again, Why the Federal Reserve Sucks by Murray Sabrin. That's your book. Hope that helped. All right. Robert says, are you concerned that some of these restrictions to civil liberties are going to become permanent or used when it's not a pandemic? Absolutely yes. Look at 9/11. We haven't had a 9/11 in 20 years, but we still have a TSA. Yeah, 100% yes. We still have KYC laws, for you guys that don't know your customer laws for banks and financial institutions. Who's that? Have we stopped terrorism? No, not at all. Terrible idea. Doesn't help at all. All these are bad. Yes, whatever happens now, we're going to keep them. Guaranteed. But worse, this is the precedent now. Anytime anything happens, His Majesty can shut people down. And here's the worst part. The worst part of it all, he can decide who to shut down. He can decide who's essential. I think my computer guy across the street, again, I live in the city, so my computer repair guy is literally across the street. But across the street from me is my computer repair guy, a laundromat, my deli, accountant. They're all across the street. So anyway, I think my computer repair guy is essential. What if I lose internet? I can't go out. I need it. Cuomo decides, or whoever the governor is, decides what's essential. So what happens when his cronies, who give him tons of money, decide they're essential and their competition's not? Yeah, that's absolutely going to happen again and again and again. Yes, Robert, it's going to become normal. Okay. Chris says, I've noticed most of the grocery shelves are bare except for cakes and pies. I don't know about you, but for facing an apocalypse, I'm not wanting gluten-free, low-carb, non-GMO anything. I'm grabbing those Krispy Kremes. I like it, Chris. Get what makes you happy, brother. Get what makes you happy. All right. Let's see if I can keep going. Let's see. I've sent all your questions, guys. Yes, absolutely, yes. Bail reform, that's why we're on lockdown. I'm not sure that's true, but here's the worst part about the bail reform piece, right? They've decided now that they're letting people out in New York State. We're letting a lot of people out, which is awesome. I love it. I let people out. The issue here becomes, though, if we're letting people out, should these people have not been, are these people not violent? In which case, why were they in the first place? Or are these people violent and why are we letting them out? So, bad. Nothing but bad. So, all right. Gun sales. Yes, look, here's the funny thing. And I bring this up often too. If you are someone who doesn't like guns and you don't want guns in the world because you hate guns, you should be completely against gun registration and gun control. Because every time there's a fear of gun control, people buy more guns. So even if you hate guns, you don't want them anywhere around, you can't stand them. Why would you want more people buying guns then? Take away gun control. The more gun control you have, the more people buy guns. And of course, if you like guns, you don't want gun control. So what does that mean? No one should want gun control. It doesn't work. Regardless whether you want guns or don't want guns. It seems crazy, right? There's a joke within the gun store community. When I was campaigning, I went to a lot of gun stores. And they're talking about how Obama was, the number one gun salesman 8 years in a row. Because everyone thought he was going to take guns. People kept going to buy guns. And now Trump is the president now, and people think that he's pro-2A. He's not. But I think he's pro-2A. So they actually call it the Trump slump in the gun shop world. Because they haven't seen an explosion, good choice of words, in gun sales. So I think they're trying to do it with gun sales, but in reality, gun sales are going to wind up going up for a while. So, all right, yes. Got to make that hand sanitizer. I completely agree. Look, in PA, beer is available. I love it. There we go. Awesome. All right. Christian asks, plan to have Dave Smith on a Sharpe once the studio's back open. I do. The problem is Dave Smith, literally, his show is before my show in the same place, and then he goes to another show afterwards. So timing's tough. But I absolutely want to have Dave Smith on my show. I actually, he had me on his show too. So I do want to, if at all possible. I will try that. Excuse me. All right. Let me see if I can keep going. The government wants you to say you need them. Letitia, you are so right. That was perfect. The government wants you to say that you need them. Letitia, yes, absolutely. Because how in the world can you validate paying all that money, validate people taking your rights away? How can you validate any of these if it's not for need? Right? If it's not for need of the right thing, oh my God, then we're just crazy. So I think it has to be that way, right? So thank you for that. You're totally correct. All right. Anthony says Chevy is Alley Financial. There we go. Yes. So Chevy has its own financial company. Almost all of these large, I think all of the large car companies have their own financial institution. So thank you, Anthony, for that. It's Alley Financial. All right. BJ says, what happens when companies realize their employees are getting just as much, if not more work done from home, and decide to shut offices down and trickle down of layoffs to maintenance workers like me suffer? Sorry for the wrong sentence. No, I think it's a great point, right? What I think winds up happening is you wind up shifting what happens within the actual offices, right? As a general rule, offices aren't shutting down even when people work from home. What happens is they change. And how do I know this? Look at things like WeWork, which WeWork is collapsed trouble because of finances, not because of what they did. Meaning office suites, things like that. So, BJ, while there'll be some disruption, that's true, but there will still be requirements of offices because you'll have offices for other reasons. For example, the weekly meeting, or for financial purposes, or they'll become necessary to hold all the servers to where all the information is going back and forth. So I don't see a downside in offices. I see a shifting of offices, right? They'll be doing different things. There will still be a requirement for meeting spaces. They'll still be required. There'll still be a requirement for computers and things like that. It'll just wind up shifting is the difference. And the next thing is, if you're doing maintenance for maintenance workers, yes, you may shift and not do the office as much, but what you will see is that will change from commercial space to maybe retail space or residential space or something else. The space isn't going away. There's going to be more people wanting to be together, more people growing, more bodies in cities. I don't think it'll go away, but I think it will change. So a specific skill set may no longer be required as much, but you'll shift skill sets. So you may be some retraining. I don't know what you do specifically, BJ, but you may require different training, but I think the jobs will still be there. All right. Diversify your income. Thank you, Sandra. Yes. All right. Let me keep going if I can. Okay. Wow. Thank you for all these. I think we're okay. Did I get most of you guys? I think I got a bunch. All right. Why do all the smart people like Larry stay out of office and idiots try to destroy this country? Larry needs to get in office sometime. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Mike finds some financial supporters. Yes, he's right. Thank you. I need more financial supporters. Head over to patreon.com/Sharpeway. Give what you can give. You have cash. If you don't have cash, share, click like, all the different things. I appreciate that. All right, so let's see if I can grab a couple more. Wow, I got a lot more that came in. Let's see. I want to talk specifically, if I could, to Karen Thompson. Look, Karen, happy birthday. I hope that while this is a challenging time, you can look back at this day and get something positive out of it, and feel warm and fuzzy knowing that everyone knows it's your birthday. So happy birthday, Karen. I appreciate that. All right. Someone asked, what is the gig economy? The gig economy is what actually has been keeping us going. Gig economy is people not being regular employees. It's them being contract workers. It's them doing a gig here and staying there and going someplace else. It's Uber. It's Lyft. It's, doing those types of jobs. Many people who have to change and shift and adjust in this world, the way they get that next job is through a gig, right? I'm not that good at this thing. I'll take a gig at a cheaper rate so I can learn to be better at it. So now I can charge more or get another job. Or my love is this thing. I can't work in the thing that I love that very much. So I pick up gigs or side hustles to make money so I can still try to be good at this thing that I enjoy very much. Or I'm a small business owner. I need talent. I can't afford to drop $150,000 on someone's salary, but I can get a contractor for a couple $100 here or there to give me that same skill set, but not every day, and make them an employee. That is the way a lot of millennials are working, and a lot of 50-somethings, boomers, who've been laid off from their jobs of 20, 30, 40 years. In many cases, because of the biases in our society, many people like that are now unemployable. So the only way they can get work is through gig economy. That's why they do that. We have gone out of our way to destroy it. New York, California, destroying it. Why? Because taxation is different on that. And what we want is payroll tax, and we want income tax. When you're in gig economy, that's harder to find and harder to get. So they're trying to destroy that for that reason. But they're destroying the economy. Because part of that gig economy is travel, but something else. It's millennials dropping $4 on a cup of coffee every day. It's millennials dropping $30 on a meal out every day. It's millennials dropping money on designer beers every day. That's part of our economy. It's rocking and rolling. It's making things move. Getting rid of the gig economy is hurting the cash flow of those over 50, more, and under 30. It's hurting them even more. And under 30 is pushing our economy. And that's the reason why it's being crushed. That's the gig economy. And that's affected by licensing, all those different types of rules and regulations that stop the individual from just going out and using their money, their own tools, their own labor to make money. So I hope that was clear in what the gig economy is. I think I covered that piece already. I think I covered that one already. Good. Okay, I think I've covered most of these. Let's see if I have any more questions here. All right. I'm gonna go call my neighbors assholes right now. Go on with your bad self. Yes. All right. Zach says, you mentioned this will make us more childlike. Can you explain? Yes, I do have. I do. What's happening every time there is any type of crisis, the more we say, government help us, we're being like a child who would have a problem. Mom, help me. Dad, help me. Right? Instead of us helping ourselves, trying to figure out how to make things work. The more childlike we become, the less we're available to or able to get out and do things on our own. And we are waiting for someone else to save us. This is not the right answer. It is not the right answer. We have to fix this. And the more childlike we become, the harsher we have. We see with our kids, right? We've done this already. Think about Obamacare. Obamacare said a child could stay on their parents' health care. They're what, 24? Was it 27? We're literally saying you're not an adult at 18 anymore. Family court. We have to pay until they're 21. I thought they're adults at 18. We're literally saying they're not adults. We are creating an entire world which everyone is more childlike, waiting for someone else to give an answer. Here is somehow, if your institution is that way. When someone does something wrong, and you might ask this question, or someone else might ask this question, do they ask the question, why'd you do that? Or do they ask the question, who told you to do that? That's a very small nuance, but when I'm doing business and I'm checking things out and I'm paying attention, I'm listening for that. Do they say, who told you to do that? That's a childlike environment. You're not responsible. Do as you're told. Why'd you do it? You're responsible. Figure things out. What's happening now is that legal? Did the government say so? Do you have a license? It's the same thing as who told you to do that. It's making us more childlike, less responsible. But remember always, when you add government, you by default remove community. So if we want to remove government, we have to add community. And adding community means adding responsibility and not being so childlike as in a society. Thank you for that, Zach. I appreciate that. All right. David says his chiropractor follows that model we talked about when it comes to healthcare. Yeah, because chiropractors often are outside of insurance. Some are, but very often they're out. He pays $69 a month. He goes as often as he wants. it's in the best interest of his chiropractor to make him feel as good as possible, because then he won't come in all the time. If he's coming in every day, it's a problem. Absolutely. So, all right. So, guys, I try to answer a bunch of questions. I know I didn't get all of them. I want to do an AMA. I'll get back on again soon. I'll be on for this type of thing again next week. I want to say thank you so much for all the people who are listening. Thank you so much for all the people who pay attention. We can make it through this. It will take some time and energy. I'm still here. You got to be here. I'm not giving up. You can't give up. Patreon.com/Sharpeway. Have a good night.